show that's 3 levels away from Batman appearing in Marvel Spider-Man 2. I'm your host, 3D Jake, and today we're looking at Marvel's Spider-Man, released in 2018 for the PS4. Marvel Spider-Man was a game developed by Insomniac Games and released exclusively by Sony on the PlayStation 4. The game is basically about like a reboot of Spider-Man in a way where it's the game that reboots all, because most games before them were tie-in games to said movies. So this game around is exclusively a reboot, and this time around focuses on Peter Parker, who's been Spider-Man for some time, and he tries to make his way through, life, with bills being overdue, and he has to fight crime. And then of course a new person called Mr. Negative shows up, and with this gang, and basically he has to fight him, and also by trying to balance his love life with MJ, and also he's friends with Miles and teach him the ropes in a way. So it's kind of its own thing in a way, and also he has friendship with Dr. Otto Octavius, who will later become in the game Doc Ock. Spoilers, by the way, if you have not played this game. The game is a very fun, fascinating game. I really enjoyed playing this game when I got it for the PS4 back in 2018. I do play it still. I did not update it to the PS5 because I just feel like I like having it on PS4 because it's just something special about it, Just something special about being on the PS4, I really enjoyed this game, and, it's a fun game. It's great. It still holds up well. I mean, I've been playing it. I honestly played it last night just so I could do this review, and it's a fun story. The story is well done. It's a well done story. I really like the story in this game. The story is so well crafted, and at the end of the game, I always get sad when Spoilers dies. If you haven't played the game, Aunt May dies at the end from the virus that spread. It's such a fun game. I mean, it feels like everything about the movies and stuff, they always took little snippets from the movies and put it in this game. And I really thought that was great. I also really liked, the open world in the game, where it's so big. I mean, compared to like Spider-Man 2 for the PS2, that game was massive open world, and like in that kind of afterward, all the Spider-Man games kind of followed suit, especially in the tie-in movie games. And I really like that aspect of it, and I really like it, enjoyed it, because, one of the things I love is I think that's one of the greatest Spider-Man games of all time is Spider-Man 2 for the PS2. And so, a lot of people always bring that game up because it launched and it defined what video games are today. And so, the open world in this game is I love that people, when they're playing this game, could go and say, "Hey, I live there. Hey, I loved it. I was right here." Or, "Hey, that's from this movie." Or, "That's from the movie and that's from here." I love that. Attention to detail is always great. That honestly makes the game even better because it feels like you're actually trying. It's not just like a picture of a map. They didn't just go on Google Maps and take pictures and say, "Well, okay, do this." It feels like they actually went there. Like, one thing I like about the Grand Theft Auto series is they actually go to these locations and take pictures and everything and make it better. And I think that's one thing I like about it. Attention to detail is always perfect, and I like it. Now, I also like the combat. The combat feels, I know a lot of people like it's very much like the Batman Arkham games in a way, which a lot of games do fall suit because that was such a groundbreaking game in combat. And I do like it. The combat is very much like, especially in the sonar way, the Spidey sense sonar is very much like the Batman Arkham games. And that's just given. That's just a given because what if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I mean, I understand why they do it. I mean, which it makes sense. And the acting in the game for the motion capture, the actors, the voice actors, and they sound like these characters. Everything I like about them, like Doc Ock sounds like Doc Ock. Peter Parker sounds like Peter Parker. Miles Morales sounds like Miles Morales. Mary Jane sounds like Mary Jane. The only voice I have an issue with is Kingpin, because I feel like he just doesn't sound. He sounds too much like a henchman and less like Kingpin. But I mean, that's the given. Everything else is just like flawless. When it comes to the acting and voice acting. The Easter eggs in the game are phenomenal. I like when I going around catching the backpacks, finding the little backpacks, and then it just like you find all these like, oh, this is an Easter egg from spider goggles, and oh, here's the Peter's like book, and oh, this is the thing him and Uncle Ben worked on, and just stuff like that just made it real feel like just all giggly inside. I always like that. That's one thing I really like is finding the backpacks, and also you find suits in the game. You can earn suits that way, and level up your suits, and I really like the suits. Like it's like, oh, they got, you know, Spider-Man from the movies, and then they got the movie skins, and then they got the video game skins, and then they got like these all kind of cool skins that, you know, and it's fun. I love the getting skins in the game. It's just fun. I also like the DLC after the game ends. There was a DLC pack that was released that you could pay for. I played it. It's called The City That Never Sleeps DLC. I played it. It's a fantastic DLC. I like, you get villains like Hammerhead. You get Silver Sable, and of course I think the third villain, because I haven't played the DLC. I didn't play the DLC last night, but you got Hammerhead, Silver Sable, and I believe it's like Black Cat is one of the villains in the game. I could be wrong, but yeah, you get 3 villains in the game, and it's fun. I really like the DLCs. The side missions also are. There are some I didn't like. Like, I didn't like the Kingpin hideouts missions. I thought they were just not as fun. Like, to me, I just felt they were repetitive, if anything, you know. And I just felt like that, to me, was just, I didn't care for. I did like the new villains, though, in the side missions, like Tombstone and such forth. You know, and I also like, you know, you know, Electro, finding Electro. It kind of reminded me of Amazing Spider-Man 2, so I thought it was so neat, you know, and Shocker and, you know, such forth, and just all these cool villains just made me all giggly inside. And I also like that they gave us a new villain, and like the scene, one of my favorite scenes is chasing down in the helicopter sequence with what's his name, you know, Mr. Negative, you know. Mr. Negative, that to me was a fun, and I liked that Mr. Negative and the villain. I thought he should have been the villain at the third act, but I liked how they gave us a secret villain, Doc Ock, and then they set him up at the end on Oscorp Tower. It just reminded me of Amazing Spider-Man, and I just thought that was so cool. And I liked battling Doc Ock at the end. I thought that was so cool and unique. You know, and the graphics look amazing. Like, Doc Ock looks like Doc Ock, and I mean, I loved it. You know, and also the score is amazing. It's just such a great score, and every time, I like how it stopped, but every time you swing, you feel that score and hear it. And also the graphics compared to Spider-Man 2 for the PS2, I would say yes, the graphics obviously are way better, but I feel like, you know, the story is also better. I feel like that game will hold for the test of time for that, but I feel like for this, it is a much better game. I mean, that game I always respect because it came first, but this game I feel like is a much better made game. That's no disrespect to the original developers, and I love watching on YouTube that one of the developers play the game, and that to me was just so cool to see. It, you know, it just takes a breath. The things I disliked about the game was the PS4 to PS5 changes to Peter, where like I just felt like that was a downgrade on Peter look, because he looked in the PS4 like an adult, you know, while he looks like he's the same age as Miles. He's supposed to be a mentor, and I just did not like that change. That to me just kind of ugh, you know, and also. There's not a lot of innerable buildings in the game. Like, there's like 2 buildings you can go into. Doc Ock's in the Feast Shelter and Doc Ock's lab. Everything else is off limits. You would think Peter Parker's apartment would be able to go into. Nope, just there. And, you know, I kind of was disappointed with that. I kind of wish you could have went in more buildings, you know. Like, I would love to have gone in the Daily Bugle or gone into Peter's apartment or Aunt May's house. But I know Aunt May's house on Queens, and that's not part of this map. But at least Peter's apartment would have been nice. I wish I could have went into, like, you know, Oscorp, you know, where I wish you could have went when you did side missions, like going into villains' hideouts and layers. I wish you could go in there, go back and forth, like in the Arkham games. That would have been cool. Also, the Sinister Six kind of suck. I feel like they set them up just like, they're just like in one thing together, and I'm like, it felt like that was just a cop-out. And I didn't like that. I kind of wish it would have built them up so you battle them all at the end, rather than just building like for one little side mission. And I'm just like, that kind of sucked. I was like, it just felt like it was wasted potential, you know? And also the Mary Jane missions were kind of pointless. You know, I understand why they were to the plot, but it felt like they were just there because they needed to fill some like levels in, you know? That, to me, I just felt pointless, you know? And also photo mode. I like photo mode, but like, I just didn't love it as much because it felt like the photo mode, I just never like cared for a photo mode, but like I thought this was the best photo mode, but like to me it's just like pointless. I don't know. I just felt that was just a tangent. I'm like, why do we need photo mode? Like, you know, I never liked that in games. To me, it just feels like that's just an added feature, you know. But I did like, you know, everything else in the game. I thought, you know, it's great to like, you know, the Miles side mission was pretty cool. I thought, you know, Peter, like, you know, his missions were great. And I always like when he goes to the subway, he's just him on the subway and people staring at him. That's always cool to me. And You know, and I like J. Jonah Jameson voices like Just the Facts. You know, it's just cool. You know, that was a fun game, and I really like this game. If I had to give it a grade, I would give it a 9.5 out of 10. Thank you so much.
It's over. Come on, dude, let's go. Miles!
プレイステーション